Yeah, welcome to Academy of Tone 233. Whoops, and the music never stops. Yeah, today we are at a very different place. I'm here somewhere near Weilburg, Germany. If you know where that is, it's good. If not, it doesn't matter. It's in the middle of Germany, in Hesse, I think. Is it correct? I will hear later. At a studio of Henning Pauly. Henning Pauly is the host of a big event for YouTubers, the Gear Street 42, because I think the number
It's 42 Gear Street, get it right, Thomas!
Okay, it's 42 Gear Street. Henning is known to be the guy that knows a lot of things in the industry because he hosts YouTuber events. He's in the industry for so many years and he has a fantastic studio. Actually, it's not only one studio, it's several studios. This is maybe studio number 4. He can get it right later. But yeah, I've been here the last couple of 3 days because I was shooting some tutorial videos in German for Bernd Kiltz, who is a German guitar teacher, also killer guitar player, who just released a new album. It's over there in the shelf. Can we see it there? Yeah, it's a bit more metal, so different style, but Bernd has a huge teaching channel. Yeah, and there's another one with Bernd. You know what? Let's welcome Bernd Kiltz because he brought me here. Yeah, we just have been to the pizzeria. We are pretty full. It was not a pizzeria, it was Indian food.
Indian food.
Yeah. So how was your dish, I think?
We all had the same and it was delicious and yeah, quite filled.
Quite filled.
Quite filled.
Yeah, many fills here.
Yeah, many fills. Don't play any more fills because then I have to go.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah, Bernd asked me if we would do a complete tutorial session in Germany for your
Online guitar school.
yeah, online guitar.
But it's in German, so you probably won't.
Yeah, but we have some German viewers here. Hallo Deutschland.
Hello Germany.
Hello Cleveland.
If you want to learn guitar,
Yeah.
gitarrenlehreronline.de.
Yeah.
Sounds very German as well.
Yeah, and I just found out in the YouTube app that what like the people watching here on the Bluguitar YouTube channel, the next channel that they would go to is number. It's actually really, really funny because I have seen, where was it? Yeah, this is the other gentleman. No, you're not in the camera. Well, he's fixing everything here, and let's see. I think this is the Zielgruppe, and this is okay. This is funny because the channels that people that watching the Academy of Tone, the next channel, at least today, is Bernd Kiltz's channel. So, yeah, and then it's John Nathan Cordy, and then Michael Nielsen from LA.
Killer guitar player.
Yeah, and yeah, so, nice people. And as we all know, we all know each other from some event somewhere, from some time. Maybe you remember Henning without the hat.
This hat is, first of all, it goes to 11.
Yeah,
And it's available from Rocket Music Gear. Haley Smith is a nice little blonde girl who makes these amazing hats. Rocket Music Gear, gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
She's really cool. Buy her a hat, goddammit.
So we have a lot of people already in the chat, which is cool. Yeah, I love that Perfecto Di Castro was wearing this hat the first time I saw him with the hat, which I was pretty impressed. We used that hat too when I was the Santana for a second. And what did you wear when you were miking up the cabinet?
Yes, that hat.
That hat too. Yeah,
2-0.
Okay. It depends. So,
You can get it at Rocket Music Gear.
yeah, yeah. Kudos to Rocket Music Gear.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I look like an idiot in hats, but
Me too.
Yeah, I have a problem because my head is too big for hats. It's like I try to get anything to put over this wish mop, whatever that is called, hair, and it's usually nothing fits my size.
why do I have the short chair and look like a baby?
Well, you know, it's going down.
You want to change?
Actually, wait.
Henning is
I
going
think
down.
we have don't we have another one of these?
Well, I mean, it's your place.
I don't know. Do I live
Also,
here?
honestly, Henning has about everything. If you are...
I think I know where it is.
Where?
Okay, Bernd is getting it. If you are in this environment here, it's so professional. I mean, we are surrounded by how many cameras? One. There's one. Then there's number 2.
Right now it's only 6.
Yeah, and then there is number 3. I see number 4. That goes to somewhere. Then there is here the overhead camera.
Another overhead camera. There we go.
Yeah, now he's the tallest of us. Oh, no, we are.
Now I'm all 6.
Yeah, okay.
I'm the only stylish one.
The
because,
3
you know, I mean-
Musketeers.
Yeah.
Okay, why did I show Eric the soft transition? I shouldn't have shown him that.
No,
because now he's
you
always
shouldn't
doing
have,
these
because
transitions.
Now it's new to him, and he will use it all the time.
Oh, Eric's coming in.
Yeah, fixing the camera because the camera was set for a
Yeah.
small guy. Now you are a tall guy.
How do we make him not use the soft transition?
We just tell him.
won't.
if I show him the diamond wipe, he's only gonna do diamond wipes, and they are forbidden by death, pretty much.
Yeah, aesthetics. So we thought about a theme that we 3 could discuss on this channel. I mean, you know, my channel is about gear. Your channel is about gear. His channel can be about gear.
Half.
Yeah, teaching and gear. And by the way, Bernd is also releasing his latest album and playing at the
Kolossal in Aschaffenburg.
For those Germans who want to see him.
Yes, come. There are still some tickets available. I have the red camera. Some tickets available for Aschaffenburg. It will be great. We have a video team there. It will be filmed. So you can also watch it on YouTube afterwards. But come anyway.
Yeah, genau, to see it live. For you to make this record, what was the overall... Is this kind of... I have to do a record now, or what is the purpose of this record?
I mean, I had so many songs like piling up over the years, and
Right.
I have one record already, which came out 2006 after my study at German University. And I thought German music, whatever.
I'm sorry. Just diarrhea splatter said someone should say number 2, and I just read the number 2, and then I read the name, and I'm like, why is the guy called diarrhea splatter? What is wrong with your viewers?
Well,
Who do you have watching you?
a lot of nice people, and some of
He
them
wants
are
them to
diarrheas.
say poop. Number 2 is poop. I'm sorry I do it, but it's like, wow.
We all have funny names in the internet sometimes.
Is the audio okay, by the way?
Are you okay?
Everybody happy?
Good. Good.
Good, that helps.
Good, then.
So back to your
Yeah,
albums.
first album, and I was not so satisfied with the first album because I had only one day to play all the guitar solos because the drummer took one day longer, and this was a time when you couldn't do the stuff at home
Yeah,
if you hadn't had a studio like yours.
yeah.
And so I had to do it in one day, and I was not satisfied. And I said, this time I will do everything as it should be.
Yeah.
And I kind of did. I'm still not satisfied, but I'm a perfectionist, so I will never be satisfied. But I had to do another album with the new songs.
You said something
and,
different last night.
I was.
By the way, hello, Quentin James. How did you find your way in here? He always calls me Lord Henning because technically I'm a Scottish lord.
Okay.
And Quentin is a very, very crazy man.
Yeah. So we have some of your viewers also joining in tonight?
Apparently, Quentin is here. I don't know how they found it because I didn't tell anyone about this.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know I'm here.
I
you
told
are-
some guys, but
you are here, you live here. I mean, you are the.
I'm easy to find.
Yeah, you are the house lord.
is it on the wrong channel? No.
No, we are on the right channel here. So, okay, new release is coming
It's
out.
called A Pain of Discipline.
Yeah, okay, that's a hard thing from a teacher.
And you can actually pre-order it on iTunes from today on.
Okay.
How do you pre-order on iTunes?
Yeah, you can just pay it, and then you get it like free on the.
You
day of
want
the
money
release.
from people before you give them the product?
Yes,
That's not nice.
That's very nice for me.
It's very nice for you.
But actually, I'm doing the same with my new CD, with the Blug Grenfeld Engelin CD, which also is released on the 8th. What is the date today? We have the 6th, so you can pre-order it now, and we will ship it out on the 8th.
You cannot pre-order any of my stuff because it's all on my hard drive, and you guys can go. Can I say fuck?
You can say anything.
Fuck off! It's my music. I make it. I listen to it, and you don't get to hear it. That's what I do. I have loads of albums just sitting there.
Yeah, okay. He goes more private. I mean, everybody has his own way.
I like making it. I don't like promoting it and sharing it and giving interviews about. The first interview's fun. The second's also kind of okay.
And then it's the same.
The 20th is so annoying. So I enjoy the process, not what comes after you're done.
Oh, I will enjoy it after it's done, like on the 17th, after the release concert. I will enjoy that very much.
Yeah, I have 17 concerts scheduled beginning next week in, I think is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday, in somewhere close to Düsseldorf. Look it up on the website. 17, it's all, I'll be there. So you can see.
You should just swap. You play his material at your release. You play his material at your concerts. That would be really funny.
Yeah, for me, because I have only one concert and then I go home.
But you'd also have to learn that stuff. And play 8-string guitars.
No, that's not my
That's
cup
not
of
fun.
tea.
I've been practicing this shit for a year.
Yeah. Even this.
Write easier music.
Yeah, next time I will, definitely.
See, and this is maybe the point where we can agree on that there are several styles in this room. I mean, I do my traditional old school blues rock style. Bernd is more in the, I would say, progressive metalish world.
Yes.
And so there is a lot of time signature changes.
No, that's not.
No.
It's just complicated, fast playing, but I'm always in 4/4.
Boring shit.
Yeah, but no. It sounded like.
Not,
I mean,
one song is not straight.
Okay. He's not straight. He's told us that he's not straight. Anyway,
We knew that.
yeah.
I'll do whatever gets me paid. I don't care. Except polka.
Polka.
Polka. I don't know. I wouldn't. And mariachi. I don't know if it pays a lot. Maybe I do polka and mariachi, but so far nobody's.
Polka.
Polka.
I understood polka.
Polka. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I thought gaming like the
No, polka.
Okay.
You know?
Isn't that where the Maybach guitars get made?
Maybe that's fun stuff. Maybe I know want to do polka.
Yeah, okay, polka for me, polka, yeah, because it's
In English, it's polka.
Yeah, okay. I haven't never used that word in English so far because I never needed to. I don't play polka. Polka.
What if someone gave you loads of money?
I'm not into money. No, honestly, it's like I just need as much money to stay alive, and I still have enough in my fridge, which means I don't need the money.
I always think if it's music, see, when we were younger, of course, it's like, only a very, very narrow style that we want to do. And then maybe it opens up a little bit. But the thing is, what a lot of musicians don't realize, whatever music plays in the elevator, someone wrote and got money for.
Absolutely.
And that person got to wake up, get paid for writing music. Whether it's the music they wanted to do initially, who cares? They get paid to write music. Video games, movies, TV commercials, Aldi Lidl commercials, whatever it is in terms of music, somebody gets paid to it. And whatever music it is you have to do, you still get paid to make music. That's why be picky about it. So if it's polka, I'll do that.
Okay, I have done this kind of elevator music. I have released 3 library albums. So
Me too.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, me too.
And for me, it was good money because I could schedule to finish the album when it was fitting nicely into my overall schedule. Then I recorded the whole thing using my sounds. They hired me to have some guitar albums so I did my thing basically. I was writing the material when I was on vacation. I was doing all that stuff.
You got paid to make music. I mean,
nice.
What's not to love?
Yeah, so that's good. And maybe this is now the entrance to the tone discussion. I was using, this goes back very long time, my power book with Cubase and some plugins. The plugin I did, I was involved in because this was with what was it? The Warp VST. There was one plexi, one rectifier, and Visu was the company back then.
Wizzo, yeah.
Yeah. How many years?
Eric,
Yeah.
mute the go to ATEM and mute the AmpX.
Yep. We won't play here anymore. You know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, maybe switch it off.
Yeah, and we had I have done my.
What is the where is it?
Where is it? It's where Henning goes. No, but anyway.
Yeah.
Huh? What is?
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was using that kind of modeling. You know what? We don't need the monitor anymore.
I got it.
I got it too.
Oh, we both got it.
Yeah.
So this is now okay. So I wrote that music and I was using plugins on my laptop, and
Way in the day when
Way.
when it wasn't great.
yes, and I knew how to cheat because I had a few plugins and I spiced up my tone. I used, of course, an okay interface. I used my guitar and a tube screamer as a buffer, so the guitar felt like I see a high impedance input. And then I was going, without using the tube screamer, just on bypass into my interface. I had my laptop on the balcony somewhere in Australia, and I recorded guitars, nice scenery, get a lot of inspiration, had long walks on the beach, you know, and wrote the next tune and the next tune, recorded the whole thing, worked there, and that was a beautiful time. And then I came to the record company, which was EMI Germany in Hamburg am Alsterufer 1, if anyone knows where that is.
You know the address.
Yeah, and the address, you can think about how expensive it is. So this is where that record company was placed, and the guy from the R&D said, "Yeah, this was your 64 Super Reverb, right?" And I said, "Sure." And
They have got no idea.
yeah, they have no idea, but you couldn't tell because it sounded right.
And I mean, and where the music goes, which is background music for television, for Alarm for Cobra 11, for whatever. I mean, you know, it could be ending up anywhere because people buy it as royalty-free music.
Yeah. And it's good
it
enough.
doesn't matter. There's
Yeah.
going to be talking over it. It might be coming out of a radio in a bar somewhere with filters. It doesn't matter. And back in the day, when was that?
I don't even remember. I have to look if somebody has that
If it
album.
was VST
Yeah,
stuff, then,
it was VST.
then probably 2000 something.
Yeah.
Not in the 90s. I don't think it was in the 90s.
It was at the beginning of VST plugins.
Early 2000s probably.
Yeah.
LM4 time.
And
No, it was before 2000, 1997, I think.
I think I had the LM4 around 2000.
Okay, it's so long ago. Fuck, my brain is.
But I mean, I just recently unearthed the Pod 2
Yeah.
that I recorded all my albums with,
Yeah.
and put it on the table. Said, "Is this still shit or was it shit?" Because everyone just wants to shit on the Pod, right? And that was the Rack Pod, Pod 2. It's really not as bad as we remember it, and modeling and all that stuff has not come as far as we want to believe it, because that thing was really not that bad. It wasn't great, but the difference between 20 years ago and now when it comes to modeling isn't as black and white as we think.
Yeah, as
No,
the
it's not.
industry tries to tell us.
Yeah.
Because here I was also involved in that plugin, and I know the process. So I worked then later on with Native Instruments from Berlin. They also did a plugin, Guitar-Rig 4.
Guitar-Rig.
4.
We're up to 6 or 7 now.
Yeah.
7.
I think on the number 4, they came to my studio and I gave them my beloved 50-watt plexi. That is always my main amp, and we modeled that. And then, of course, this knowledge stayed in that company. And then with the Steinberg guys, we had the same technician that I worked with on the Hughes-Kettner Zentera, which was 2000, and the year 2000. And that amp took 5 years to design or to develop, and the whole thing. And it was even winning the award from the American Guitar Player magazine, being the boss of digital amps after Line 6. So this was how good Jusen Kettner was. Eventually, back in the
nowadays
days.
we might look back and say, well, we got the nano cortex, quad cortex, and that stuff isn't that good anymore. And it's not on that level, but the thing is, it'll all do the job.
Absolutely.
You can record with any of this stuff
Yeah.
if you know what you're doing and you have the right notes, which is really what it's about.
Yeah.
I know a guy that did professional recordings, and he had this amp farm plugin, the first one, which is like on the level of a Pod 2. He did everything with it. He had a little trick. He had some preamp thingy and a compressor before it, like you did your Tube Screamer, and it sounded great.
Satriani recorded a whole album with it.
Yeah, and
the last
I-
one. Yeah.
Not the last one.
But the one before the last one. Yes, it was.
I played a
That-
Pod XT.
that one maybe as well, but there was a like a techno-ish one that he did.
Yeah, Electronica.
That was all amp farm. He's about the notes.
Sure.
We can get, but the thing is what you
Yeah,
said.
and
go
I
ahead.
played a Pod XT live for, I think, 8 years live. And people were always telling me how good my sound was and that it sounded exactly like Santana. Especially
Exactly.
we played one song by Santana and I had the exact same lead sound as on any other song because I was a lazy fuck. And so the most funny thing was we had one great concert in Schwetzingen before the German guys, Xavier Naidu did Wetzingen in Schwetzingen. We had a year before that, we had a great concert with Sylvia Diaz, an upcoming singer, and Wilfried von Bahlen was there from Galaxy Studios. He mixed the whole thing. It was very high-end. We had 4K cameras, the first 4K cameras in existence, recording that. And they were always in this fan group from the singer, were always telling me, you play that digital shit. Play a real tube amp. It sounds so much better. And then on the concert, we had to do some deco stuff, and we had a Plexi Marshall, and we put it there. We didn't switch it on. We didn't put a cable in it.
It
was
cool.
just standing there. I played my Pod 2.0 like always, and after the concert, they were coming, and now you sounded like a real guitar player, and now it sounded really good. And I let them talk. Yeah. Did you like it better than before? It was much better, right? Yeah, it's like real. You could hear the tubes breathe, right? And I was like, really, like, come on.
Yeah.
And I said, same sound as always. It's here.
Play the right notes. But what you said earlier, which is really, I'm reading on the page, what is tone? That's what this whole thing is supposed to be about. I think you used the word wrongly. Because he said you were in Australia and you were working on your tone. I personally, that's just my opinion, I think that is not what you were working on. I think you're working on the sound.
Yeah.
And I think guitar sound and guitar tone are massively different things.
Yeah.
Guitar, for me,
Yeah.
correct me, guitar tone is what you do with your fingers, with your placement, with your everything that you control on the instrument, which in terms of what it sounds like frequency response-wise, most of it, what comes out of the cable, is very, very similar, frequency response. Sound is something you can't control necessarily with what you do here. That's what's happening in the amp. How much saturation there is, how loud is it, what's the EQ set to, what is the delay in chorus, that's the guitar sound. So one thing, like a guitar sound, can never give you what you do with your fingers.
It's only one element.
Yeah, for me, tone is, it's very difficult to say what is guitar tone. It is ADSR, it is the dynamics over time. How much is frequency response? A little bit, but not so where you play, more high end, low end, but more of that you do on the amp. But what you set up on the amp, I would never call my guitar tone, because it isn't. It's the sound.
And the tone, is that the complete package that you receive?
No. I think tone is the player makes the tone.
Yeah, okay. For me, it
Gets
is...
filtered through sound.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, it's sound and the player makes the tone. Because, it's a question how we define things here. Now, for me, maybe tone is a higher level of the whole complete picture.
Let's say it like this. Your tone, if you have the right amp, the right guitar, and the right gear, then your tone comes through, and the sound just
changes as
like
the gear
embellishes
changes
it.
Okay.
If you have a bad sound, and you have a good tone, it can destroy the tone.
I think
okay.
there are players that, independent of what sound they're playing through,
Yeah, they have still their
you
tone.
would absolutely recognize them
Recognize.
within 5 notes. Malmsteen is one of them. Even if he doesn't shred, there's something
With
about...
no distortion, like a cheap a Marshall amp from 20 years ago,
I'm
like a
pretty
transistor
sure you
Marshall.
would recognize him
Also,
on...
when he plays the acoustic guitar, he still like the Eddie sounds the same, even on anything.
Why you would recognize
Yeah.
very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually,
Right?
right. Yeah.
And independently of what sound they're playing. So I would say there's a very clear tone. For me, when we think of tone, we think of John Mayer. I mean, it'd be a great guitar tone. Because I think he can play 3 notes and they're clean, and you can tell that's him.
For me, tone exists in any genre. Clean, crunch, lead. I mean, for me, this is a matter of style. But in every genre, you can have a tone. I mean, just think as tone as a color. And I don't judge colors by color. It's blue is great, as we all know, but there's so great red tones.
If we say it's the whole, including the gear,
Yeah.
then it would technically be wrong to say I love David Gilmour's guitar tone because the gear's changed. He's played through different amps over time,
And it's still David
but it's
Gilmour.
always David Gilmour.
Yeah.
So I think tone is what the player does with the instrument, whatever the instrument is, and if it's a player of a certain level, they have the ability to give it their literally their fingerprint, no matter what the gear is.
Then we have a problem for the gear guys, how to describe what, people talk about the tone of this instrument. Then this should be totally out of the...
And it is. It has with guitars, because it's the thing you actually touch. I think it's a bit different. It's somewhere in between. It's your vehicle to get the tone out. But honestly, the difference, frequency response wise, how much top end, mids,
Okay.
and whatever, guitars are very, very similar. We're not talking about what Glenn is saying, that wood doesn't matter and pickups don't matter. But of course, the difference completely clean into a disc of different guitars is very minute. Not as different as, for example, changing overdrive pedals. And obviously the thing that makes the biggest difference in terms of how many mids, top, low end is the speaker.
Sure.
Frequency response, speaker is literally everything.
Yeah, but when you look at the guitar, there's only the strings that make the root note and a few overtones. And then when we look at the pickups, single coils have a little bit more overtones because the frequency spectrum can be measured, and you can see on the pickup that there is a peak in the higher frequency range. Okay, then we go to an amplifier. The amplifier, if it's clean, it's never 100% clean, but assume it would be totally clean and would not create any overtones, then the EQ would only set if there is more or less overtones by more treble or less. And then when you create saturation with overtones, which creates overtones, then of course we all know that an overdriven sound without a high filter, a filter on the high frequency sounds like a razor blade. So you have to control that and bring that back to a natural, organic frequency spectrum that we accept as a nice sound. And I think the amp creates overtones, but you are totally right. The last part in the signal chain is the speaker. The speaker is that element that connects to your ears. And this frequency range or that behavior of the speaker is so crucial because that is the connection of everything.
It shapes the frequency response considerably more than an EQ on an amp.
Exactly.
The EQ on an amp is subtle, but one speaker can be completely nasal and only in the mids. One speaker, if you use Jensen's, that's all top end and hi-fi, and some can sound very low-endy. So in terms of the most impact on your frequency response, that's a speaker. However, the speaker does not go back to the guitar and shape the dynamics. The speaker doesn't go back to the guitar and change the attack behavior or you know, what you can do with a pinch harmonic where all of a sudden you change which overtones are playing. That is all stuff you do.
But the stuff on with the guitar, when you say the guitars don't matter that much sound-wise, that is actually very true. But the thing is, it matters like a whole lot how the guitar feels in your hand and how
absolutely.
it plays. I just realized that today because I had like 1 hour when nobody was doing anything and I practiced for my concert and I used that guitar, which is a very awesome guitar from Texas guitar maker Sully. Awesome guitar, sounds really great. And I was trying to play my songs on it. I tried that for 1 minute and then I took my Ibanez out of my case, which I brought.
Yeah.
Because I can play my stuff much better
on your guitar.
I mean, if I would like practice 1 week on that, I could do it on that, right? But it's totally different, and yeah, it's much easier to do on the instrument that was made for that kind of music. So the guitar matters for the feel of the player mostly.
Yeah.
But if you practice like you play everything on your nice 61 Strat. But if I would give you the Panucci Les Paul and you practice for 2 weeks, you could play a concert with that and you would be fine.
At the moment when we're talking about physics, which is, you know, the sound, the guitars don't have as much of an influence as a speaker would, or let's say a distortion would. Obviously distortion adds a lot of harmonics. But when you said you tweak the EQ, for example, if tone, let's go back to Gilmour, if Gilmour's tone would have anything to do with his EQ settings, then anyone could go buy that amp, set up the EQ the same way, and bam, there's Gilmour. Yeah. And we all know that's absolutely not the case. And I love it when people, and look, we deal with gear reviews, when people want the sound of their favorite artist. First of all, I always say, why the fuck would you want to sound like Slash? Slash already exists.
Yeah, you are only number 2.
Unless you are, and that is very rare cases, you are the guitarist in a dead-on tribute Guns N' Roses band or tribute X band. Then yes, get exactly the guitar and try to get that sound. But you play in a metal band and you're chasing some metal guy's sound.
Do your own thing.
A, you'll never sound that way.
Yeah.
B, what's the point? Sound like yourself.
Yeah.
But that gear will never make you sound like them. Is it the general direction? Do you have the same speaker? That actually probably, what was Appetite for Destruction recorded with when it comes to speaker? Everyone talks about the amp. Everyone talks about the player and the guitar.
Yeah, nobody talks about the speaker.
The speaker has the most impact on the frequency response. And then, some guy actually mixed it on a console. Do you have that console with you?
No.
So, chasing some player's sound is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I know how people feel because they want to feel safe and they want to have something they can rely to. And in today's world, we have so many offers. So I understand them by how to express myself what I want. I want to sound like Gilmour. But again, if you spend your whole entire life just going for this one thing, it's like teachers. I personally think it's cool to copy a little bit, but then there comes the point where you should be free to do your thing with it. Because again, you are always better doing your thing than trying to be number 2.
But it's actually a very, very good exercise to try to copy someone. But you should never do it with a target, with a goal of becoming him.
Yeah.
You should only do it with a target of learning from that.
Yeah.
So because if you like really into Gary Moore, for example, and you try to copy Gary Moore, you learn a lot about vibrato, and you learn a lot about attack.
And you will never be Gary Moore.
That's the thing you get out of it. You will never be Gary Moore, and you should not try to be Gary Moore. But you can learn a lot. And if you do this with not only Gary Moore, but you do this with like 3 or 4 your favorite guitar players, then through that process, you can develop your own style.
Exactly.
But not one player, many players.
Yes.
The question is, if we're trying to give advice, I can give advice on how you get a certain sound. Because that can be dialed in.
That's a physical thing.
To like, let's say 90, some of it is you and the guitar, but sound is relatively straightforward. What speaker to use, what amp, how much saturation, delay, blah, blah, blah. But how do you teach someone and give them advice about tone, about what happens on the instrument.
Actually, the funny thing is, I do sound packs for different modelers, for Fractal, Helix, and some cheap thing from Harley Benton. And I sell those things. And then people write me, it doesn't sound at all like on the video you did. And I bought the same guitar. Sometimes they buy like a 2,500 euro guitar, the same one, just to sound exactly. And then they write me.
Buy my courses. I would just say, here's a course, I give you 10% off.
Nay, I do that without the 10% off. Because that's actually,
businessman.
if you hit the note with a certain angle of the pick and a certain intensity,
energy behind the
that
string,
makes so much difference. And many people, I mean, I had a lot of real students as well. Now I'm an online guitar teacher. I don't hear the stuff anymore. But I had many students and heard what they played. And there are some that play way too loud, they hit way too hard, but most of them hit way too soft. And also, the biggest mistake I see is like putting the pick, like if this is the string, and then they put the pick like this, and not like this, not angled. And then you have like bang, bang, bang. It's like way too hard. And this makes so much difference in how the gear sounds as well. So it's not only dial in the gear and everybody can sound like the gear.
No, of course not.
You have to learn how to play properly.
But I have to say
and
that
control your tone.
I started thinking about guitar tone. All the albums that I did a whole bunch of them, were a pod rack thing. And I had whatever guitars I had. Some very cheap ones. I never thought, gear was never really in the mix when I was thinking about it. I was thinking notes. I was thinking about the notes. And not even what they sound like. Just what notes. I'm an arranger. So I was thinking notes, stacking. I was thinking arranging, not making it sound a certain way. And so I was never after the high-end guitars or great amps. When I moved back to Germany, I started to work with tube amps. All of a sudden, okay, that's one step. Now, I was starting to understand how people like John Mayer and some people could get these sounds that I could never get. And yet, something like a John Mayer tone combined with a sound was unattainable to me until I got, hand me that thing over there, the McMall. Until I met these guys at Frankfurt Musikmesse. And we talked, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, they sent me this thing. Very beat up, but high-end.
You had that guitar 2019, 17? I was
Yeah.
when you got this.
Yeah. I think before that even.
Yeah.
And so this is a super high-end instrument. And I was playing through a clean tube amp, but all of a sudden, wait a second. Wait a second. John Mayer, yes, he's got the skills. And there's something in the fingers. But an instrument on that level has something to do with it. Because you don't need distortion to have the same kind of sustain. You don't need distortion. It sings clean like something that I would usually want to put gain on. So when you want to discover tone and work on your tone and what you do with your fingers and the subtleties of what your fingers can do, I feel, I'm sorry guys, it requires a certain level of instrument. When you buy no offense, I'm just taking some Ibanez for $800. That's a solid instrument. You're probably not going to develop and discover your tone with it. For me, that journey started when I played some higher-end instruments that actually showed me, oh wait, I can sound like that. Once I realized I can sound like it, I was working on it more, feeling the notes, making them sound like certain things. Now I can translate that to cheaper instruments. Now I can do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, people sometimes when I say this is like a beginner instrument and I review a 300 euro Ibanez guitar, just for example, right? And people say that has nothing to do with beginner. Then I say it has, because I can tell you why. When you are a beginner, you first learn finger here, finger here. You learn the scales, you learn the chords, you learn the mechanics of the instrument. If you master the mechanics and you can play the pentatonic maybe in all 5 positions, whatever.
Wait, there's 5 positions?
Yes, there are. There's 5 positions.
What?
And there's more notes. But anyway.
Okay, 2 positions for you. and then you know
BB King and the standard one.
And you know vibrato, and you know bending, and you know slide, and you know rake, and you know all those phrasing techniques, and then you understand, oh, I can make this sound like this, and then you get a hold of the instrument, a hold of the playing, you know what you do. And then the point starts where it makes sense to buy a more expensive guitar, because then you can utilize that.
Yeah, you can hear it, you can feel it, and you can work the tone.
Yeah. If I give this to someone who's got the basics down, they're not going to be able to get the details out of that instrument that the instrument's capable of.
They will say, this is a great guitar, but I'm very satisfied with my Ibanez.
Yeah.
But if you give this to somebody who practiced for 20 years, 3 hours, 5 hours a day, then he says, holy shit!
Yeah.
Also,
That's like
you made the
when
main mistake in YouTube reviewing, using the word beginner. Because I've made that mistake many times, and on videos where I said this is a beginner amp, because look, it's $200, it's a little Fender Mustang 20. What is it? That's the amp that I would suggest to my beginner students, because you got loads of sounds, got a built-in tuner, it's small, portable, and lightweight and cheap. What else is it other than a beginner amp? I get probably by now 1,000 comments on that video. It's not a beginner amp, I have it and it's great, and I'm more advanced, and blah, blah, blah. So, completely missing the point. It is a great amp for beginners. One would assume that if you're further in your development as a player, you would have a better, bigger, different amp. Not saying you can't have that one as well, but they take so much offense to be told that the gear they have is beginner gear. So that person has that guitar, thinks they're not a beginner anymore, but you called that a beginner guitar, and that offended them.
Yeah, and you're right. The thing is that now I
Biggest mistake
realize
you can make.
I realize after I have I play like over 30 years, that my guitar collection, that all the guitars I have that are like in the mid-range or low range, got like thrown out or sold or given away to other people, because I now really notice stuff limiting me.
Yeah.
I really notice if I don't have a guitar that's in this range, or a little below that, I can feel, I can do it. I can do it live. I did one gig where I played a €200 Yamaha with a great, I say beginner instruments. I mean, I could play the whole gig with the Yamaha guitar, and probably nobody in the audience really noticed.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe I would have played better with my regular MM1 or my Z guitar or my Penuche, right? Because the instrument limits me in a certain way, which is on a very high level. I can play with that instrument. Somebody would say, you're going to play guitar your whole life, but I only give you this AZES from Ibanez. You have to play that your whole life. I would not stop playing guitar. But I would enjoy it more to play it on a Panucci or a nice Ibanez.
Yeah,
you know?
I have the pleasure to play a bunch of guitars, especially for like the vintage channel, the world of vintage guitars in Hamburg. And honestly, there are a lot of not so good vintage guitars. Not everything that is vintage is great.
Yep.
That's another point,
Yeah, but if you have an exceptional vintage guitar, it makes me... It's something unforgettable. This brings me to another level of experience. And I'm very thankful to have that experience because, as you said, I can take this back into my ordinary world. It's like I have been on a trip where nobody else has been before. And with this energy, I like drugs, it's like, wow, I heard that note. And then once I've been there, it is
then
part of
you
my
know that you can do it.
Exactly.
But the guitar got it out of you.
Exactly.
What is that pink guitar that Bernd just had, or the Panucci, for example? They're guitars that when I play them, because they do sing clean, just like you'd have drive on. So you put some drive on there, they enable you to all of a sudden pull back and play less. When you notice yourself wanting to shred and play a lot on a guitar, that actually means that the guitar probably doesn't sound very long when you hit the note. Or let's say you're hitting the note, you want to sit there, slide and bend without attacking again.
Yeah.
When you have a guitar that allows you to do that,
that's a quality.
You will do it.
Yeah.
If you have to hit it again, you're playing more notes because the guitar doesn't work with you. And a guitar that works with you and gives you that, you'll find you're not playing fast. You're not playing many notes. You're actually playing less and less and less notes. Then you know, oh, wait a second. I've never played like this. What happened? And that's what happened with me with that Sully. The first jam I did, everything I play there doesn't sound like me. It's like, what happened here? Like, I played phrases that I didn't know were in me. Now I would try to play that on other guitars, of course, but again, the instrument has to have a certain level. But when it comes to tone and discovering your tone, I think first the technique, that's got to be all there.
The basics
The
need,
basics
to, be
need to be there.
Without basics, we don't need to take it any further. But once you have the basics, you come to the next level where you can make experience. And part of the experience is make good experience on tone and good experience on instruments, get your personal preferences. You know, me, I'm a Strat guy, but I mean, there are Strats that I go for and there are other Strats that I go for, somebody else's Strat, because they have a different personality that, you know, even this, we're still talking one instrument, you know, and I feel very inspired by great instruments, and this is something, it comes from guitars, yes, it also comes from sounds in the combination, because then when I can connect with the guitar, having, for me, the tone starts in my head. It starts in my imagination when I can enter this world and then feel connected to the whole thing, and the whole signal path, the instrument, the strings, the cable, whatever is needed, it might have only 1% influence on the whole thing. But if the whole thing is kind of right, like just, wow, that's my guitar, this is my, it feels like I can connect with
like
that.
I was chasing those clean sounds that Mayer did on Continuum. There's like 3 notes and they're just singing. They're magic.
For you, exactly. And I
couldn't do it with an instrument that wasn't this. And I still wasn't John Mayer.
Of course
but
not.
I got a lot closer and I started to realize, he's got kick-ass instruments. However, he can do that on anything.
Now he can do it on anything. And I think that's the same with my story. I bought this vintage Strat when I was 17, and I knew, because I had a very shitty Stratocaster. I started with a Strat from...
you still have a very shitty Stratocaster,
of course.
by the way. I mean, look at it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the dirtiest Strat.
Ew.
But the thing is, I started with an Aria Pro 2 Strat in my teenager years.
That's a very shitty Stratocaster.
Yeah. And then I thought I had to buy a real Strat, a Fender Stratocaster. And back in those days, I went to a shop in Koblenz, and Peter Wolf, who later became the guy behind PRS
and Nags,
and now Nags, is sold me the shittiest Strat ever.
Fuck you, Peter.
Yeah. But it had a Fender logo on it, and then I knew a guitar luthier who repaired guitars in the Saarland, where I come from, and he told me, you probably need one of those new Squier GV series, Japan Vintage. So these were kind of vintage sounding instruments. I was always about the vintage tone, so I had that kind of question, and then I bought one of those, and then I saw Gary Moore on the television, and he had that red Stratocaster. Now I know it's a 61, and I knew, this guy is magic. The whole thing blew me away. Then I asked Michael Frank Braun again, and this guy told me, you probably then need a real vintage instrument. So, okay, I didn't know. I was young. I had vintage, what the fuck? And then half a year later, he moved to Hamburg and became the guitar repair guy for #1 Guitar Center Hamburg. They were dealing with vintage instruments. There came Thomas Kretschmer, now Carola and just passed away, a guitar player in Udo Lindenberg, very famous German band. And he had a 1964 Strat to sell, and there was this 161. So 17, no money. I bought an overnight train ticket going to Hamburg, and I entered the shop in the morning, and I was sleeping for an hour, and then I looked at the guitars. I played that 64, and it was really good. I could tell, but it was a celebrity owner, and back then it was 4,000 marks, and this was only 3,200. And then in my teenage years, I had no idea. I had to sell my other Squire instruments to have the cash
And your body.
and everything. So and I the guy said it's 3,200, and then I did the deal of the day. Said I give you 2,300. So I swapped the numbers, and he needed the money. He said yes. So I bought this for 2,300 Deutschmarks. And
How about I give you 2,300 euro for it? That's double. Come
I
on,
give you
Thomas.
3,200
That's
for it.
double.
okay, for first, bing, bing, bing. Who is bidding more? Yeah.
First, it needs a corona test. Look at this thing.
Well, you can test it. It's definitely everything. It's not only
Everything's on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually lick guitars and say it's mine. I'm not going to do that with that one.
Yeah, you know, the good thing about me. Have you seen me sick? Not many
It's
times.
because of the guitar.
The guitar has
It immunizes everything.
everything. So this collects everything from all over the planet over all the years. Yeah, and
But I want to ask something. It's tone related, but it's psychoacoustics.
very important topic.
Well, because you're all into these vintage guitars,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we got Bernd here, who's got a very different guitar collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you feel at home on this,
Definitely.
it's
yeah.
absolutely not vintage. I mean, the woods are 70 years old, but the guitar was built, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. But it looks the part.
It looks because it's kind of aged or
If you have
relic.
a brand spanking, even if it's a Strat, brand spanking new Strat with everything shiny,
Yeah.
do you feel that you can perform the same way on it? Just the psychology of it.
Yeah. For me, honestly, that bloody relicking thing does something to me. It is. I have beaten up guitars. I prefer them. I came up with stupid theories just to justify why I love them more. Like, okay, if the lacquer is broken here and there, maybe there's something in the vibration. It's all total bullshit.
It's here.
It's all bullshit. But in the end, it's like, it is what I'm used to. It's what I like, and so it helps. If I close my eyes, if I have a great instrument, it does not need to be relicked, and if the sound is right, I can forget about it. But for me, it's a job.
helps.
It helps.
Because you have a lot of people say, oh, Polka stuff, let it age naturally. Look, none of us is going to gig another 30 years to make a guitar actually look that way or like Thomas' guitar. But it depends on what you want to play. You want to play dirty, filthy stuff?
Yeah.
You have something that's already beat up. If I had your Pia that I know is $8,000 and it's beautiful multicolor and stuff like
Yeah.
this, you're not going to give it the same
dirt.
attitude as you give this.
That's the same thing as you have. I have a very old car, right?
Yeah.
It's like 17 years old, and I don't give a fuck if I scratch something, right? So I drive a different way.
Like me.
Then it's the same thing with the guitar. If it's like shiny and it has like a very nice top and stuff. And I also have some guitars that are like a little bit beat up, and it's like easier to play
Like
with
if
them.
I just want
It's
to
like,
get it and rock and jump and dig in differently. Now, that Sully is absolutely beautiful. Am I going to play it dirty rockish? Can it perform it sound-wise 100%? Are you going to treat it like a dirty rock guitar?
Maybe
no.
not.
Probably not.
Yeah. And that's a psychological
yeah, that's
thing. only.
psychological.
Yeah.
Not even psychoacoustic. It's like only psychological.
Psychological.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, and you know where I'm going, tone color. Because tone color is real. Okay?
Yeah. I mean,
Because if we admit that the scratching up makes us perform differently,
the color makes also a difference.
because vintage guitars have certain colors.
Yeah.
If this was pink, for example,
Pink
let's say,
or orange.
something that's not vintagey,
Yeah.
you will not buy into the thing in your head. Therefore, your performance on it will be influenced.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a blue guitar, it doesn't sound different, but it makes you approach it differently than a cream white guitar, let's say, right?
I actually play different on my multicolor Pia than on my black Pia.
There we go. See?
I play more vibrato bar on the multicolor because
course,
it's more Y.
It's more white, right?
Even both are Y guitars,
See.
but the multicolor is more Y.
But you associate the multicolor more with Steve, and in a way, playing guitar is posing in a way.
Always.
Of course.
I mean,
it's part of the
Even
game.
even if there's no cameras on,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
pose
yeah,
in a
yeah,
way.
yeah.
So you have something vintagey, scratched up.
Yeah.
You're gonna pose in B Hendrix, right? And you have your PR, and you're gonna pose in B Vine. And that posing is part of the performance. Which means whatever you expect the guitar to be will go into your performance, which is part of posing with it.
Yeah.
Which obviously means, honest, if you want to play Slash stuff, Mister, I've got the guitar over, which I do too, okay? But you're not gonna play Slash stuff with the guitar on your left thing with a little footstool and sitting down. I mean, I would hate to play like this, but I think if you want to play like Slash, pose like him,
Go for
you'd
it.
have to have that attitude in the performance. Therefore, that has something to do with it.
Yeah, and you have to use a Les Paul as well.
Yeah, it is part of the whole deal and the attitude. I mean, just think of yourself when you enter a room and there's neutral atmosphere. If you enter the room with a certain attitude, you change the world. I mean, it's like if you come in like Slash, you know, I'm a rock star. I mean, the guy has maybe a private appearance as well, and he's not a rock star because he has a different side too, but we don't see that. If he comes there, he does something to us by the way he enters the room. And of course, that gives him a feedback because he's not alone on this planet. He sees the reaction to that in the audience, and then he brings that back on the instrument. So this is a whole kind of a torpedo energetic cycle.
And I do think a lot of that psychology for tone, what we do on the instrument, is really important because it's about attitude.
Yeah.
Right? What you're doing when when you're raking in the
Yeah.
blues stuff, that is going into the swing and the shuffle. So I think guitar tone comes a lot out of attitude, and that has a lot to do with what we assume about the gear, right? About who played it, how old it is, how I can treat it without banging it up. You wouldn't want to bang up your PR, rightfully so, right? And
And it wouldn't age because it's a special kind of
Material.
so it doesn't age. It's just like bleaching out maybe.
So these things do matter. And what I like, which is almost impossible to get nowadays, is approaching something without assumptions.
That's super hard because we have so many preconceptions these days already because we are socialized with music, with images, with sounds, and maybe tones. And we don't enter a white piece of paper with nothing on it.
It's
so
a
we exist.
Strat. You know what people play on a Strat.
Yeah.
It's a beat up old Strat, so older fight Strat. So you think it's bluesy and the cleans and the blah blah blah. You never go set up a Meshuggah sound on this.
Yeah.
Because of the assumptions, right? Now when I got this thing, I don't know what people play on offsets. These are not even Jazzmaster pickups. They're kind of P90-ish. And this isn't really a Jazzmaster, it's a Puma, but it's a Jazzmaster guitar.
What about some alternative rock? This guitar to me looks like alternative rock.
But I don't know who plays these things or
And
what
punk.
you play.
And punk, yeah.
So the thing, when I got this, I really played it, I played whatever I wanted, kind of, without a lot of preconceptions about it. Now, I give someone a Strandberg. Technically, you can play many things on it, but you see all these metal guys, all these fusion guys playing them, you're going to immediately think that's what you do. And I think we talked about this, but the Nano Cortex video just came out today, by the way.
On his channel.
It doesn't have a display. And it's got 5 banks of 5 amps. And
Very interesting.
I just stepped through the 5 banks. They just go from low gain to high gain. And there is a profile behind every single one. And most of us would want to go to, in the app, and look at what amp am I playing, because then you see
Marshall.
you see Marshall, and
You
do
play rock.
There's John's CA, and we know that's a Petrucci amp. And you dial that in, and what are you going to play? Metal. You're going to play a Dream Theater riff. But without seeing that on the device, because it doesn't have a display, all I did was just go through the sounds until I had the gain level that I wanted. One back, and then just made music. And dial in the IR. I don't know what cab I was using, right? There'd be certain assumptions I would want, but without knowing what amp am I playing, I went by ear. I set it up. and then I recorded a fat-ass metal track because it was a killer sound.
And what was it?
The cab was a 110 Princeton. And I had no idea.
Famous for blues, okay?
Famous for it was a 7-string metal track.
Yeah.
And the amp, I can't even tell you because I never looked it up. And Bank 5, and that's the funniest bit, Bank 5 and IR number 5 are bass amps and a bass cab. And you know what? That 810 AmpX sounded great for cleans. Without knowing, you allow yourself to just use it because whatever sounds good sounds good. Would you ever knowingly dial that in for a clean guitar sound? Probably not.
Maybe me, because I know that the AmpX was partially designed for Keith Richards to be loud as a clean guitar player.
Okay.
But okay, now...
I don't know that. I would never dial in an AmpX for a clean guitar.
And you would never dial in a 110 Princeton as a cab for a metal sound.
Yeah, that's
never.
Definitely not.
But the thing is, it clearly was the best cab.
Yeah.
And not knowing that, because we have all these assumptions about who played what amp and what is rock and what is metal. When you lose it, you're much freer. I didn't know what to think about the Nano Cortex, and you think about profiling like I do back and forth, but not knowing made me just create music. I love that.
And see, there's always both two sides to the story. The one that drives us somewhere, and the other one that hides or that is in the way of for us and blocks us. So, we should be aware that if we are guided all the time, we are doing something wrong, So if you are misled by just names and things that you think you know, you are never free. So this is why sometimes close the book and improvise, be free and try out new things, because only then you can make new discoveries, because otherwise you are inside your own bubble and you repeat what you ever repeated. You play the AC/DC riff, nothing wrong about AC/DC, but if you want to experience something else, well, you have to try out something else and then you will discover something else. But otherwise it's the same old, same old, same old. Of course, if that's your total goal, fine. Stay there. There's people that spend their whole entire life playing a grand piano. There is no overdrive, there's no reverb, there's no pitch
It's all
bend.
in the notes.
It's all in the notes and in the way how you hit it. And
That actually is, I did a whole classical piano album. Nobody knows that, but I have a full album of classical piano music. Basic stuff written on piano, but a lot of stuff added with MIDI. I'm an arranger, I added the notes. But as an arranger who wrote albums with drums and symphony and guitars and all these possibilities, going to what 10 fingers can do with black and white keys, everything you wanted to express was either volume or range to the left and right, or speed or harmony, actually, acceleranto, deceleranto, going faster. So everything had to be expressed with different means. What writing this album taught me about the other arrangements I had to do, about pop, rock, metal, invaluable. Because reducing yourself to only one thing and having to express, like when you're writing a pop song and you want it sweet, what do? You add strings. Well,
cliche, simple.
Okay, you want something heavy, add double bass and metal guitar. But on piano, you got to do it with volume, you got to do it with range, you got to do it with harmony. So I became such a better musician because I learned to express myself with different tools.
Yeah, different tools and maybe sometimes less. So I kind of think also both ways. Sometimes more is more. Nothing wrong about Ingwie. We all have. And sometimes less is more. And both.
But how can less be more? More is more. We all know that.
It's impossible.
That's just silly.
It's very simple. Ask David Gilmour. And I had that experience. I was at the Strat Pack concert in Wembley Arena, and I remember Gary Moore was there, Brian May was there, the Eagles guys were there. All the Strat guys were there. I had won that trophy, and the door opened. Everybody was kind of blah, 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 and talking high energy. The door opened and Gilmour came in and it was like crazy. Shine on your crazy. The mood in the room was, bow, everything was like this. And the guy didn't play a note. He just entered the room and this was, suddenly everything was half speed And
Maybe that was just you, okay?
That was-
and maybe you took
no.
some illegal substances.
no, nobody took anything. And even I remember Brian May was totally excited talking to somebody. The door opened and he went quiet. And I mean, just like the church. It's like
Jesus!
yeah, switch of scenery like a church. And Gilmore, with a warm smile, came in. Hey, hello, and had this other energy. And then this guy played less than all the other guys. I mean, Gary, sweating and ripping his ass off, and with Hendrix, Red House, and Gilmore, those three verhungernde Noten or whatever you call it, those longing notes, and they were flying, and it was like, okay, it's another statement. I mean, Gary was high energy, and this was more is more, and then there was less is more, and I can feel. I was impressed. This was a life-changing moment for me, where I really saw what it does to me. Both affected me in a positive way.
It's in a way a more difficult thing to pull off.
For me, it's also harder. For me, it's easy to do a little bit or more whittling, but if you want to play just a few right notes, if you do a little thing that is not exactly like you want it, it's a hard thing.
And then each of those notes has to sound right.
Yeah.
They have to have the right tone
Yeah.
and sound.
sound.
And
If not-
which again brings me back to John Mayer. There are solos with 3 clean notes, and he said everything with these notes. And try to play those 3 notes the way that he played them. It's ridiculously. You're like, well, what's the big deal? And it's ridiculously hard to give those notes meaning.
Exactly.
Because he can hide a lot in the fast playing.
Yep.
But giving those few notes, then it's not enough to play it. With the fast line, it's enough to play it. Via the same way. He can play a note and make that one note do crazy things while it rings. That's really the discipline. The top level. I want to know what's happening in the chat, because by now Quentin James probably wrote 17 times that the McMull headstock is horrible and we should burn it, which is his hobby, to call McMull shitty guitars.
No, I have to tell you guys, this is a super high quality guitar, very good sounding, and not only looking vintage. It's maybe not the radius is flatter. It's 9.5 instead of 7.5.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just play the damn thing.
But you can hear how good this instrument is as an instrument.
Even not plugged in, it's like
Yeah, there's some substance there that makes us able to
put it
create.
away.
It's the guitar that I'm happy I got, and it's the one of the guitars that, as long as I'm a guitar player, I will probably not let go, because getting another one like that would be very difficult.
Exactly. Talking, yeah.
One very
Bernd.
thing I wanted to say about guitar and gear.
Yeah,
It's very, very important to do blind tests,
absolutely.
because what you think the sound is of some amp, of something that you need, the Soldano SLO 100 or anything, you should blind test stuff. Or you think modeling sounds shit or feels shit. You have to blind test. You have to have somebody who puts it in a
We have done
pedal
this.
switcher or whatever,
Yeah.
and says, which one is this?
Yeah.
Can you tell? Would you bet $1,000 that it's not the modeler?
And even not even talking about what gear you modeled or played, because again, back to the Nano Cortex, you approach an amp and you look at the SLO and all the people who played it and all your assumptions of what it's supposed to sound like.
Is
If I
SLO.
just dial in a sound like this, you might not even like it. You might not even be an SLO. You might have always wanted an SLO until I just dialed in a sound. Like if I dialed in Jimmy Page's sound from not Van Halen. Where did he play? That other band.
Led Zeppelin.
That
Led
one.
Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin. They both had albums named 2, okay? Led Zeppelin
2,
yeah. And I dial in that sound verbatim. And you're a Jimmy Page fan. And I dial in that sound, you're probably going to say, that's shit. Because you have completely different assumptions about the sound.
Here's the thing. Everybody knows Led Zeppelin 2. Everybody knows Whole Lotta Love. What amp is it?
It's a Supro.
No. It is a Vox transistor amp. Do da do da da. That's a Vox transistor amp, guys. Okay?
And if I put a Vox transistor amp in front of you, you're gonna say, get rid of that shit.
Exactly.
And if I dial in that sound exactly, you're still gonna say, get rid of that shit.
Yeah.
Best example, so many people saying, testing anything, oh, that's the AC/DC sound. It's like, you mean this super high gain thing you just dialed in? You mean this massive crunch with all the low end? Highway to Hell, that's almost clean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if I dial exactly that sound in for you,
you probably
most people say, that's not rock and roll.
that's country and western.
Because people have so many assumptions, and we deal with this on a daily basis on these channels with the comments.
Yeah.
And you read comments like, what in the world? The assumptions are so crazy, but then you can't argue with them. And you're
it's
fully
also
right
the
about the
thing.
blind test.
Most people that write in comments you need a Marshall or something never ever played a Plexi at full volume. And they just assume, because they see the Marshalls on the big stages, that Marshall is the only amp that can sound like that.
Yeah. And that's
Which is
and that's a completely different experience. If you ever have played a non-master Marshall volume in a room with a cabinet, I know I would tell 50% of all guitar players would not like that experience because it's so loud, it's so much dynamic that you can forget about anything legato with that amp. That amp is good enough for controlled heavy chords, AC/DC, because it's almost clean. It was designed to have 100-watt clean headroom, and then of course it goes into saturation, but it's not like creamy leads that have sustain and everything. No, you have to fight for the notes. I have been there. I have formed my own 3-piece band with a 50-watt non-master volume, and I had a singer with red eyes because he could scream like hell, and I was still too loud, of course. But during that period, I learned how to tame a Marshall, not having pedals, and playing it the way that it starts to sound. And that still is part of what I do today, because I dig in from that Marshall experience, from that vintage Marshall experience. And last year, when the Rottgau Monotones had their 55th anniversary, and Ray, the second guitar player, passed away, I had the job to replace him, and I played his original old Roy's amps, Rio Grande, and I went there, I had a few pedals, and I decided, you know what, fuck, I do it old school, plug in, crank everything. Okay, it was 8,000 people, and the sound engineer was fine with it because it's their sound engineer. So, and it was too loud for me. So I was moving out of the beam of that 4x12 aside because I mean it was too much for me. And then I felt like, okay, this was old school and it worked, and I didn't need anything. I could work the tone with my experience, but I think a lot of people would have struggled a lot because it's like, I mean, you have a modern car, you have a Tesla with a lot of horsepower. I had one experience in an old Porsche, like a very old Porsche with only 4 gears. So where the second gear goes up to 120. And
Oh God.
yeah, and the brake has no Bremskraftverstärker, so there is no, you really have to.
You guys, of course, know Bremskraftverstärker. Who doesn't know the good old Bremskraftverstärker? I mean, that's the most English word I can think of, the Bremskraftverstärker.
Yeah. So I mean, if you hit the brake, you know, on this vintage Porsche, I had to really hit hard. But it was muscle. Oh, that's me. No, not now.
Tanja, warum rufst du dann an?
Hey, that's my girlfriend.
Tanja, ruf doch nicht an, wir haben noch einen Stream.
Im Livestream.
Moment, vielleicht
Hast du dir
will die-
nichts beigebracht?
Nimm doch mal ab, vielleicht will die Tanja sagen, was Bremskraftverstärker in Englisch ist.
Ganz bestimmt, ja, ja.
Brake
Yes,
Power...
yeah. Maybe we should switch to
Support.
English. Sorry.
Amplifier.
Brake Power Amplifier.
Brake power amplifier.
Yeah. But anyway, this was a physical experience combined with the emotional experience, because you can go in the second, no? Like with your electrical car, no gear shift, and then you have to brake the same way. I mean, vintage style.
It can be a short experience.
Vintage braking. Yes.
A life-changing, maybe ending experience.
Yeah, and I had this with the Marshall in that thing. Of course, today we have power hooks, we have the aux box, and things to tame the amps and use then the well, the perfect spot at any volume, volume independent. But if you want to do it old school style, you can experience the 3G or whatever is it called, Schwerkraft.
No.
What is it in English?
Gravity.
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 Gravity. And here we-
Gravity!
Yeah.
That's the 3-note solo.
Yeah,
Or
that's
4. Now, given this whole discussion, what I would promote to anyone doing preset list, because you said the blind test, which I think is a great idea, but a lot of gear doesn't allow you to do blind tests because they have displays, preset names, and they're mostly not based on what you should use it for, but what gear was used.
Yeah.
What's the profile? What's it based on? Blah, blah, blah. So to mirror what the Nano Cortex does simply because of the limitations of the interface, why wouldn't there be an optional preset list that someone puts together, let's say in a Tonex, which is the just listen preset list? And they just give you gain, more gain, more gain, more gain, just in the most basic description without you ever knowing what's behind it.
Or you just meet with a friend and he switches the stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. You could have a friend because you couldn't make the list yourself because you know what's behind it.
Okay, of course. Yeah.
It would have to be curated for a Helix, for whatever, but I think each device should have a 20 list of presets where you just go from low gain to high gain. Whatever's behind it, who cares? But the question is, knowing that, will you have that in AmpX? Because everything in AmpX is based on the Marshall, based on this. And you're, of course, naming it differently, but you're technically falling into the same, not mistake, but I mean into the same trap of giving people already a huge assumption over, before they play the first note, they think they have to play a certain thing because it says Marshall, what does it say? 87. Okay, I have to play Aussie on that.
Of course. No.
But of course it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about the display. First, in the flap, I had no display. And then I showed that to people because then you wouldn't know. And then I had a window in the flap so I can see the display. Now you can give it names. People like that. You see the bank and you see a name that you can program it. I think you are right. On the one hand, without it, it would have a benefit. Hey, use some sticker.
No, but how many presets do you have in there?
It's organized in banks. Let me think about it. It's how many alphabet numbers is it?
26.
26 by 6.
Okay, so you have...
Too many.
Okay, so loads of them.
Yeah.
So technically you could have all the presets with the Arshals and whatever they're called,
the
and the
Arshals.
Voxishes or whatever you've got in there. But you could make, let's say, 3 banks of 6.
Without anything.
So one bank would be clean 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And they're slightly getting more gainy. What's behind it, you decide. Whether that's a Marshall, a Vox, or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
And the next bank would be EOB, Edge of Breakup, 1 through 6.
Sure.
And then more high gain.
And you
that's it.
choose. And you choose. The thing what people don't get with the AmpX is also, of course, everybody wants to have that whatever 50-watt plexi sound. On the other hand, this is a platform, and I can create new amps. Okay, I mean.
But they wouldn't go for them because they don't know what to assume.
Exactly.
And in a bank setup where it's just great sounds, who gives a shit what's behind it?
There, it could be the shiny new one, and then one day I could lift the secret and can say, hey guys, by the way, this amp doesn't even exist on this planet. This is something I made up just for the sound.
If everyone says, I love Edge of Breakup 4, everyone's like, Edge of Breakup 4, what is that?
Yeah.
And then you wait a year and you reveal, that's an amp that
doesn't exist
yet.
You know,
But they would never play it if it's a
Exactly.
Bluguitar did it, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, one company did it like this. Boss did it. They didn't take the amps, the Marshall, the Soldano. They
That's
just
just
made their own
names,
and gave them stupid names, right? But that's actually, when I tried it out, there's no Soldano in it. It's shit.
Yep.
And see, this
Exactly.
is the preconception thing. But hey, remember when I came, I think it was with the Mercury, and we did the AB comparison with your amps, and I was switching, you were only playing and listening.
And there was no way. I mean,
It was so close.
if I got the real amp versus the Mercury, it was coincidence. I mean, and whatever difference there was maybe a 2 to 3%, which in no live or recording situation would ever matter. However, my assumptions, honestly, would I play this? I wouldn't.
Yeah, because you have your amp collection.
Not because people say, well, he has to argue like this because he bought them. No, I didn't buy them. Actually, I didn't. That's what I get for the videos. But the thing is, psychology, if I have it behind me, and all I got to do is flip it on, and I can record it. Because the convenience that this offers, I have.
Sure,
Okay?
in your studio.
So, and then in the back of my head, even though that test has clearly shown me that there isn't a difference. Yeah, but what if there is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know there isn't. I know it. But I have the real amp, and it gets warm, and it's Tolexy, and it's wooden, and it smells.
And
Now,
see-
wait, let me test something. No, it doesn't. It doesn't smell like the Tolex. You know. So for anyone who has to go through more hoops, first of all, taking it on a stage.
Yeah, sure.
What? Take that.
Yeah.
Who has to go and mic it up and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But for me, I turn on the amp, I push a button on the switcher,
And that's in your studio and your complete...
and then probably you would also use the amp because that's a big. If you had that set up exactly like it.
I have that set up in my studio, in my video studio, which is also my recording studio. And I have all my Marshalls set up. I'm on a flick of a switch, they're there. I was still recording every track with this one. And I tell you why. Because of consistency. This thing is the same, even though it's not programmable. But I set the numbers to the numbers, and I can go in next day or a week later, make a little picture, set it in, do an overdub because I didn't like that note, you know, that I played last week.
Because you can't play it right the first time. I get it. See,
Of course
I don't
not.
have that problem. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
one take.
play
You
it right
don't,
the
you
first
just
time.
don't, you just don't give a fuck.
Yeah. No, but honestly, in my studio by now, I'm not. It's the same thing like with your great guitars. I'm not selling these amps because they are still great amps. They will last in my world as references, as pieces of museum, anything. But honestly, they are not used anymore. I have proof of. I even recorded stuff in the live stream on records like Ali Neander's latest record. It is recorded live during a live stream, and this is what's on the record. And then you can compare it with my new record, and it is on the blue box. It's my Stack 1970 and my setting, and I always sound the same because I use the same gear, my guitar, myself, and my gear, and this is how it sounds. And when I switch to one of my Marshalls, it's that 3% difference one. Okay.
It doesn't mean better.
Yeah, no. But the good thing is emotionally, I'm at a point where I'm not. If my JTM 45 would go now, it's okay. I have no. It could go. Knowing.
I know what you mean because I have all these amps.
Yeah.
And let's say I got the Nano Cortex in and it was on the table.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to. I don't play a lot of guitar because I'm too busy. But I wanted to noodle a little bit.
Yeah.
I could have easily turned on any of the amps, but you know what? That was standing on the table.
Yeah,
it was already
there.
on,
And it was good.
and it was good, and I played it.
Exactly.
That's what people underestimate convenience.
Convenience is a
Like really, you know, I'm sitting here on my studio desk like yours, and you have one mistake, and you would play way more guitar if you had a guitar stand right beside you, so you don't have to move like a little bit to get the guitar
I don't
on your.
have an Eric.
No,
I have to
he's
do
not
my
at my
shit
place.
myself.
Eric is the assistant.
He's not at my place.
I have to edit my stuff, and I have to
Eric.
work.
Hello, this is Eric.
No.
This is
I don't have
Hi,
an
Eric.
Eric. I have
What?
to actually do stuff. I don't have time to play guitar.
What I want, yeah, but I saw you sitting there watching stupid TV shows. So
Wait. Okay, cheap, horrible reality TV needs to be watched. Who else is paying these guys to get their Botox and stuff, okay?
of course,
I
Henning.
mean, come on!
Henning is.
yeah, but what I wanted to say, don't ever underestimate convenience. If the guitar is standing in the way that you don't have to move like 1 centimeter, you just have, not even this, but this.
Then you
right?
do it.
Then I play more
Yeah.
because I'm a lazy motherfucker.
Yeah, because you have an
also,
Eric.
And also, no, he's not at my place. And also, when I want to have a good sound, I have my XFX in the rack here, and the switch is there. So I don't have to move at all. So I just switch on the XFX.
That's a level of lazy that's just scary, okay?
But
If I have to switch on the amps, I mean,
But
there's one rand in there right now. If I have to switch on the amps, I can switch on my Soldano, clack. I can switch on my Engel, clack. If I want to switch on my Tone King,
you have to get up. Yeah. So
Yeah, because they have the stupid switches in the back.
switches on the
I
back.
hate it when people do that.
Fuck you. Sorry.
yeah, this is Fender style. It's authentic. Well, it's
Play authentic.
well, I'm
Even,
not.
even worse, I mean, I'm really starting to fall in love with the sound, but that Dumbly thing I got, the Amplified Nation, Bombshell Overdrive, super boutique-y and stuff, but it's so authentic that the drive switch is either in the back or on the foot switch.
Yeah, which is total bullshit.
Like, who
Put a
was...
foot switch on the front and nail it there with the nail.
The guy
right?
said, well, you could have the foot switch connected and on top of the amp and always... I'm like, I know it's authentic to how the Dumble was, but if I put this in the rack and not on top of it, and right now, if I want to turn on overdrive, I have to reach behind the amp. I mean,
Put a foot switch in front of it and nail it there with the nail. With the real.
give me a switch. I know that the Dumble didn't have... Would Dumble fans not buy it because it would have a more convenient switch at the front?
There's one
Probably.
amp I did not buy because it had the switch on the back.
Which one?
I wanted to order it from Kulik. He wanted to build me one. Actually, he wouldn't have charged that much. He's a very good, now private amp builder, but he used to have a company but didn't work out because of reasons. And he wanted to build me one, and he had sound samples to me, and he said, this is great, build me one. And then I said, but there's one very, serious condition. I really want the switch on the front because I want to put it in a rack. And it just doesn't work with the switch on the back. And he said,
Soldano
that's not possible with my PCB design.
Soldano
And I
Astro
said,
20, you
"Don't."
turn it on in the back. My Astro 20 is never on because it's in my amp shelf.
and you don't get. It's hard to get there.
You see on the amp shelf where the Tone King, Sky King was, the combo, there's a cutout in the back so that it could reach through the
Around
wood
it.
and turn it on. It's rather annoying when companies do that. And a big ass silver switch is kind of a nice thing, which is cool that on this very modern piece of equipment, you got a big ass silver switch.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Wait, we have a
We have
camera.
a top cam, Thomas.
Have
We
a
have a top
camera.
cam.
I show it to you guys.
Now you moved
We
it.
have a top cam.
It's right
You
here.
can see it.
Ah, okay. So
Big ass silver switch.
here's the silver switch.
That's actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Does the whole chassis,
Yeah.
I have to point this out now,
Yeah.
does it come in blue?
No.
How is it going to
Special
sound good
edition for-
when it's not blue?
Special
We
edition.
just talked about it.
We have blue lighting on the
No,
presets.
Why is it a black chassis?
Um,
It's called Bluguitar.
Yeah, of course, but
It's not black guitar.
It's black.
Here's
It's
a point
beautiful.
there.
Yeah. I probably do some what is
Oh.
a special edition of the M1 in blue.
No, this
After 10 years.
like if you order that plastic on the outside in blue,
Yeah.
is that going to cost more? That can't possibly cost more.
No, it's a logistic thing. If you have only blue, it's the same price probably.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have black and blue, it's getting into a nightmare because then you have to make a production run with blue ones and black ones, and this guy doesn't want that one and this one, and then it's getting really complicated.
It's called Bluguitar.
Yeah.
You're missing a massive marketing possibility here.
But hey, I do it in subtle ways. Look at this one. There's a Bluguitar logo here, which is illuminated, and what also will be the case, which is not on this one, this logo will also light up blue because there are LEDs underneath this plexiglass front panel that shines through. It's like a one-way only, and there's a switch on the side that will now engage the LEDs so it will shine when it's finished. But
as long as there's not blue on it.
there's
'Cause we all know blue shit sounds better.
there's a lot of blue on there. There's blue switch, there's a blue logo here, and there's a blue it's like 3 blue things already. And you
More
can,
than most.
and you can play the blues in the blue. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of I understand that's a big problem for me, honestly, with the format that I'm doing. When I look at the AMP1, I think a lot of people would love to have an AMP1 in a housing with toe legs that looks like a nice micro Marshall or whatever in world they are living in, which is fine. But then how to put that on a pedal board where I think an AMP1 belongs to? You know, I mean, it can sit on the cabinet, but for me, it was always the thing that I had in front of me with foot switches on a pedal board in combination with a few pedals. That was my personal, preference of using it. And then a Tolex housing doesn't make any sense. If you put that in a nice Tolex housing that would kind of match that little cabinet, it would be a nice thing for the living room, you know?
But you could have just not put this in a different housing, but literally have a receptacle for this that it sits in, and that's black Tolex. Kind of like this stand, but it goes all around it. It blocks this, and you just buy this as an add-on, and it'll be a little head. So you wouldn't buy a separate product. You wouldn't design a separate product. You just put this in something that stands up.
I have a few mock-up studies that I've done myself. One idea was actually like that, how to make this amp look like a traditional amp, so people would have a head feeling. So I have a wood box with that stand. I also have a portable, the Portaflex bass amp by AmpX. That's a thing where you have a cabinet and where you can
you flip it around into the cabinet. Yeah.
And I have this with AMP1 as well. It does exist. I have one, and I also have an AMP1 combo that is this electronic in that housing. And I decided not to make this as a product because...
You said earlier you don't want to make money. That's what you said. That's why. I understand.
I don't believe that this makes money, but maybe I do a lot of things that don't make money. Maybe my first priority is, of course, things that I think are needed. Nothing is needed, but what I think is a nice contribution to first my situation, because I design stuff for my reality, because this is what I can judge. I have been with the thing on stage. It's definitely loud enough. It does all what I want and blah, blah, blah. And so this makes my life easier in this format. I don't want this as a head. I don't want an extra foot switch.
But some other people who want to give you money might enjoy it as a head or combo. And you would still have a lot of the conveniences of being able to switch things, the DI out, the lightweightedness.
Absolutely.
Because it would be a super lightweight head. Right? And
I have all these things on paper as ideas, but the thing is, my capacity to release products is very limited. This is why this takes so long. Once this is released, we can take care of the other nice things, which are on my wish list for years.
Because in my world, for example, which is a very, very different world,
of course,
I wouldn't be able to even adequately display these. Which is, I had an Iridium, and it went to a nice home where someone can actually use it, because all I could do is kind of display it on the shelf behind me, and then it actually fell down. The Iridium was fine, but my desk has a massive dent in it. They're well built. My beautiful oak desk that I built for myself. So I need stuff that is in head form. Not even combos in my studio. I can't put combos anywhere.
I know your studio. Your combo, the two combos you have are somewhere underneath the stairs.
Where the cats live,
Where the cats live.
So, as a small head, for example, for the living room, I don't think the lady of the house wants a thing on the floor. So, as a little head, and you could even have this hidden under, hidden, only show this, beautiful.
Of course.
All you need to do is put a freaking thing around it.
Sure.
So
and it
do it. Tell him to do it.
Well,
do it.
I do it when I'm finished, but I have to finish first.
And AmpX,
and
super
we have
lightweight
to finish
in a head. Hell yeah.
I have more crazy ideas.
Because it's more rock and roll to be on something.
Yeah,
this is more convenient.
Yeah, sure. And I start with the thing that I believe is mostly needed. You know, this morning here we took out one of your amps, an angle amp.
That's not convenient.
No.
Yeah, exactly, because one of the biggest guitar players in this industry asked for something lightweight. So somehow I do something right.
Yeah. Nobody's saying don't do that. Nobody's saying don't do
But
that.
do
I'm
this
saying
on
do
additional,
it
additional.
also.
Of course.
Also,
It's
you
all
know,
on my wish list.
also, you know why? Because marketing-wise,
It helps.
nobody sees it.
I know. I mean, this is
I mean, what are we doing here? Why is this on top of a little stand?
to be seen.
To be
But
seen.
In reality,
So
nobody
if you
sees
had a product that people can see,
And-
people can see it.
And this extra logo on that side, I mean,
That helps one guitar player in the first row that's really curious.
exactly. But at
And not-
least, at least I got this one guy, you know. So if there's
And on a big stage, it's way too high. Like
course.
this is Marshall's problem, which is why I went to Marshall and talked to the big new CEO and told him straight in his face, I'm like, you don't want to make modelers. No, we want to make modeling. No, you don't. You want to sell freaking headphones and Bluetooth speakers, and you do that by the kids realizing that Marshall is rock and roll, and they'll only realize that when they see them on stage.
yeah, big Marshall stacks as it used to be,
And a modeler,
you shrinks it down.
you
to,
don't see on stage.
Yeah.
You don't want rack equipment, Marshall, because that's in a rack somewhere.
Yeah.
So that in a way, guitar players know your stuff, but what about the people that don't know your stuff?
You are right. You are.
There's a lot of potential, and I think he's actually right.
Of course, I totally agree. But the thing is, I do my thing first, as I think that the pros are needing it, and then we go on the second level where the amateurs, and you know, with the other aspects of it. I totally agree on all the aspects.
Amateurs are a much bigger market than the pros.
I know, and that's. But I'm not about the market.
Dilettantes are a much bigger market than the amateurs. Okay?
If you want to reach the masses, talk to idiots. That's what. Who said this? Socrates? No, I don't know. Some very wise guy said this. I think Schopenhauer. I read it somewhere in the internet.
Yeah.
We're not smart enough for this.
Yeah.
We do this for a living.
Yeah. We do this for a living.
What
and
are
we-
people? Why aren't we reading what
I
people are
think we
saying?
should
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
some point.
I have
'Cause
to.
yeah,
I have to drive home because I got my phone call already. Where are you?
I need to get you people out of my house.
Okay, has Henning other piano album, or was he talking about
Colored
his
Li-
Colored Lines album? Is this the
Ulf, how do you know about colored lines? But yes, that's the one I
Okay,
mean.
that's his album. Keith Richards was using Vox transistor amps when they were recording in Abbey Road. Yeah, because the Beatles amps were sitting there. My plexi is barely distorted, even turned up.
There's a secret, Metal Zone. It's called Metal Zone.
Oh, metal zone in front of a plexi. That's
No,
not a good idea.
No.
I have to try this.
But you know, plexis are loud first, and then they start to saturate. Blah blah blah.
Did someone count how many times Quentin James said that the McMull headstock is ugly? Because I'm pretty sure that's a high number.
Roasted EL34 candles for Christmas? That's something. I mean,
That's marketing.
That's marketing. My twin is still ringing in my ears. Of course, 100 watt clean. That rings. Ring a bell. It's Christmas time.
Wait, do I have? Talking about that.
Was 3 blues? I'll take 1. Okay. Blues in the color blue. Makes
Oh, by the way, anyone wanting to laugh, go to Instagram and look at Lesie's Guitar of the Day on my Instagram.
Do it.
because,
yeah.
We have some special.
We have to show them now. Can you find it here?
I have it here. Yeah.
Yeah, show it here.
Right, I'm
but
looking
then
for-
we only have to tease it because it's so great. You know, while being here,
This here.
somebody had a
I
very.
wanted to show you this here. Maybe you get it.
a
Do you get what this is?
socks in what is it, like strings?
Tube socks? Tube sockets.
Tube socks.
Tube socks.
Keep them warm.
No.
Tube sockets.
No, Tube. Oh Gott. Tube Socks. Das sind so diese Stützstrümpfe.
Ach so.
No, I don't
oh
get
ja,
it.
das ist für Omas, ne?
Yeah, Tube Socks.
For grandmas. Show them the guitar just very briefly, and then they have to go. Where is it? It should be new.
Oh, this is an orange amp.
Yeah.
Orange amp?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Okay.
My head hurts.
Yeah, okay. Where are we? Just go for today.
Yeah, I know. Where is it? Here it is.
Yeah, this is great.
How do I hear?
Today is Thomas
Right.
Blug's.
Okay, let's see it again, just briefly.
Do we have? I'll go to Bernd. Bernd. Here.
Today's guitar of the day is Thomas Blug's guitar. I'm told it's a 61 Strat, and it looks like it hasn't been cleaned since 1961. Some of the dots have been rubbed off. There are surely some cooties on this guitar. It's cream colored now, but perhaps it started off as a white guitar. Pretty sure those springs are supposed to be covered, but the plate has just fallen off. This guitar has seen some things, and it might just be time for a new one. Today's guitar.
So
Yeah.
every day from now on, there'll be a guitar of the day. Lesie describes it in a very non-professional way.
No, very honest human way, as ordinary people.
As ordinary people would look at guitars.
Yeah, I mean and she's only mentioning facts. You know, the dots disappear, and there's no
Yep.
backplate anymore, and there's some scratches, and
She has no idea about
Some
vintage guitars and that this is
scratches.
worth something, and
Yeah.
she just looks at the guitar and she would do what most people would say: throw it away, get a new one, because that one looks very used. That most of us would look at me like, you know,
Yeah.
she wouldn't understand. Why would she?
yeah.
So that's happening on YouTube Shorts and Instagram every day now. Sorry, people.
No, it's good. I think it's very entertaining, and yeah. I mean, from all the things you are doing, maybe we have to explain to some people that might not know you. You run these studios, and you host the 42 Gear Street event, where international YouTubers are gathering here, and have like a long weekend of video making.
4 days of video making and interacting with companies to get paid jobs, because we all need to eat, and so we need to make friends with companies, and they come here, and then we make loads of videos. But the videos are really just an alibi. They are we make about 150, 160 videos every year, but in the end we want to get the shit shipped home, so that we can make videos that are paid for, because we need to eat. That's
and
the job we do.
And that's kind of marketing for the companies.
Yep.
I have been part of this once, and I remember we had great times with the amp makers. You know, Dave Friedman was there. He had to dial in the Iridium edition. I was dialing in what amp?
Dan Trudeau from Rev was here,
Yeah.
and you were here. Did we have someone from Houston Kettner here?
Rich.
Yeah, but not an
Engel was
not an
there.
amp, yeah. I mean, where in the world do you have the amp makers of like 6 big amp brands
In one room.
in one room
And for a whole weekend.
and just dialing in each other's amps and having fun, no competition?
Yeah.
That's an environment we built here.
Yeah, and that's something I believe is very special. And again, this is very good also for behind the scenes, because after that, you know, we are all connected. I talk to Dave, Engel talks to me, I talk to them, and you know, we all live in this little industry.
And at trade shows, you don't have a chance to actually hang out with them.
Yeah,
And
it's-
here, that's all we did.
Yeah.
Hang out with,
Yeah.
you know, each other.
It is fantastic, because it's just the right amount of people. At the trade shows, there's hundreds and thousands of people, and you don't have the time and the attention for.
Well, I'd have a lot more, but Lesie doesn't allow that. We have a maximum of like 65 or something.
Yeah.
When it's more, I get yelled at very loudly.
Okay, but I kind of like that. The way here it is here, it's family style. You take care of them all. There's like a dinner. Some people go this way, the other this way. There's some little spare time and whatever. It's very great to be here for these events. Yeah, and what I have to say, in the studio like this, everything is like spot on. We have a mic over there, no clip-on mics, and I guess we sound pretty good. Are we sounding good?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we have lights in front of us, on the side, on wherever. Yeah. Henning is a nerd when it comes to studio and having it up and running, working in a smooth, professional way. So this is why we are here. Bernd booked this place, so we come here, and I had in 3 days tons of results, and basically first takes.
Yeah, for all of you that speak German, we did a whole guitar course.
Yeah.
It's called the Blues Rock King, and by Thomas Blug. It will come out on the 24th of November, so in 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty soon.
I mean, you want to have this edited and out in 2 weeks?
Yes,
This guy
Yeah,
is doing it.
Good luck
Eric!
with that.
Eric.
Give it a hand for Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do this in 2 weeks if you had filmed this on individual cameras.
No, we
That-
wouldn't.
that would
That's
be a
the reason
nightmare.
we came to
Yeah.
you.
So
I mean, I have all this stuff, but I only eat ramen because, no more money for anything else. But I have a lot of cameras.
You have a lot of cameras. Yeah.
yeah. And it's not only the cameras; it's actually also the switching systems. The room next door. I mean, that I like just the setup here. It's like we are sitting here. He can hear us in nature. He can hear and see us through monitors. We have, there's tons of cables going somewhere, but you don't feel it. It's a nice and cozy environment. You're not sitting in a whatever cold studio somewhere. No, we are in a living room with a good atmosphere, and everything is spot on working. I was sleeping there like 2 doors next to this door.
For guitar content, this is definitely
One of the
paradise.
best.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was hoping I could get shit done, but every 5 minutes I was like, well, we need this. And by the way, we want to talk about guitar sounds. We need a tube screamer. We need this kind of guitar, this kind of guitar. Then early on, it's like, he's just like, I'm trying to get shit done in my studio. And then he's like, we need a bass. I'm like, what are you going to plug this into? It's like, you got a good point. And then I made him a preset on the Nano Cortex, brought it all over nice on a golden tablet, and all of a sudden he could play bass. Yeah, we do that here. If you want to book the place, please do.
He lives off this. Yeah.
No, actually, I don't. I've rented the studio twice this year. To him.
To me.
I have one customer.
One customer.
Him. It's dirt cheap, by the way.
Yeah, it is. For what you get, it's dirt cheap.
Next time, we have to talk about it.
Yeah, but no.
Mengenrabatt.
No. You're gonna go up in price.
Okay. Hey guys, I think we discussed a lot of interesting topics on gear, but also behind the scenes and the mental aspects I love the most. Because, when you do the gear reviews on your channel, it is... You have, of course, your perspective on things, you have your setting, and you can understand a lot of people's mindsets approaching gear, because you have seen a lot, and this is reflected in your videos, same with Bernd, and I enjoy having different views on things, because I can learn from that, and trust me guys, if I could realize or do all the stuff on my wish list, I would have a tons of Christmas toys and I would be a rich man. But I'm not a rich man and I don't have the Christmas toys. So I do my very best to finish this thing first, and then there comes the rest of the wish list. Okay, guys, I'm very thankful to Henning Pauly and Bernd Kiltz for this evening here. We had a nice 3 days together. And now it's time to pack up and go home and have some sleep. See you guys next week. What was this about next week? Stay tuned. This might be a very special one. Okay, cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. This was the outro song. Okay.
What the? Lesie, did you show him?
Huh?
What the?
She did.
No.
More people.
You didn't do a diamond wipe, did you?
One time I did a diamond wipe.
Nee, hast du nicht, oder? Lesie?
So, das ist wie bei der Tagesschau.
Oh, ist das sogar mein Handy?
Ist das deins?
Warte mal.